Welcome to another episode of the BPA Show. I'm your host, Mr. Boggins,
Whoa.
and this is my co-host,
That was weird.
Pat Kyoto. What's up, Mike?
You are just all over the place right now. I don't know what's going on. It's glitching out. But
ADHD, baby. ADHD crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. What's up, man? How's it going? How we doing? It's Thursday.
Yeah.
It's May 18th. It's the anniversary of Mount St. Helens erupting back in 1980.
Sick.
43 years ago. That's a little wild.
I knew. I had it on my calendar and everything for the last
I honestly didn't even
40
think about
years. 40. I've had it on my calendar for 4. I'm not even alive. I haven't even been alive that long, but I've been
it literally didn't even come across my mind until I looked down and I was like, oh, it's May 18th.
Oh,
weird.
Sick. Look at that. What news is out today? That
Mount St. Helens.
Welcome, everybody. Today we're kind of continuing with our series of talking about draft picks. We're moving on to the NFC South today. Let's talk about what they got, and we'll just say, what's up, Big E Bronco? I hope you have a good night.
Yeah,
nice guy.
Yeah.
Nice guy. Real nice guy. All right.
Hey, which division did we do last week? AFC South.
Yeah. We did
AFC South.
AFC South. Next week we're gonna do the AFC. What'd you find on the web?
I don't know. Siri was
listening.
doing some things.
Bro, she's a subscriber. Is she a subscriber, bro?
She might be.
That's cool. I'll take it. I'll take all I can get. So last week, we did AFC South. Mainly talking about them Colts and what Anthony Richardson gonna do. Next week, we're actually gonna go over the AFC West, and we might have a special guest. That rhymed, bro. That rhymed. Hints. All right. So today we be going over NFC South. We're gonna start ourselves out with the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers did a lot over the offseason, man. They be picking up niceness. They picked up some Adam Thielen. They went out and got themselves a decent running back in one Miles Sanders. And
DJ Chark as well.
And a quarterback that can throw to all of them. Because God knows no one knew what they were going to do. They knew everybody assumed they were going to draft a quarterback, and then they traded up and were like, "Oh, damn, they really going to trade they're really going to get a quarterback." And sure enough, they picked up Bryce Young out of Alabama with their first overall pick. I think I would say he's pretty consensus number one QB in this draft. Not necessarily the highest potential, like the highest ceiling, but I think the all around put together QB1 that you would just like a plug and play, really. Not obviously the size, but I love this. I love this with Frank Reich over there. I think this is going to be a great matchup or a great match, and in a division that is pretty damn open.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about some of the guys that they added in free agency this year. I mean, looking at their offense, just their offense right now, you trade up for the first pick. Of course, they traded away DJ Moore, who was their leading receiver for the last couple of years. And you make an aggressive move to go get your guy. Frank Reich has brought in a great staff. Josh McCown is on that staff. Ejiro Evero is now their DC. That's scary in its own right with the pieces that they have. But just sticking on the offensive side of the ball, you look at what Bryce Young is coming into as a rookie quarterback in that room. He's going to have a lot of help early on. It's not going to be one of those situations where it's like, all right, we are starting all fresh. We got a rookie quarterback and like one decent wide receiver and then like a bunch of young, unproven wide receivers. And then like a so-so running game. Like, no, they should have a legit scary offense. If Bryce Young can just replicate like half of what he was able to do at Alabama, they will be probably one of the more fun offenses to watch in this in the NFC South. So you got Terrace Marshall, who loved him coming out of LSU. They signed DJ Chark, great signing. You get Adam Thielen after he's cut from the Vikings. There's your veteran presence right there. Thielen, Chark, and Marshall, I guess you could consider him a veteran at this point. Laviska Shenault, there's your tool. Mm-hmm. That's your Debo. Everybody wants to phrase that now. That's your Debo guy. Shi Smith too cannot, that's your middle of the field possession guy. Mm-hmm. Then they draft Jonathan Mingo, probably one of the favorite wide receivers of this class. Sneaky, like good build, great athleticism, solid hands, like was probably one of the best wide receivers in this class outside of those top guys. Some people had him as like wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with that. I think that he's got the skills. They get Chandler Zavala in this draft as well in the 4th round. That's huge. That's good value. And he doesn't even have to start. That's the scary thing. So you look at all this on the offensive side of the ball. Bryce Young's coming into a situation where he has good weapons around him. He's going to be with a good head coach in Frank Reich who knows how to develop offenses. This is going to be a really fun team to watch if they can get clicking early.
No, I completely agree. Jonathan Mingo, I really like that pickup. I don't want to say I was surprised he fell to the 3rd round. There was a lot of steam building up for him. I liked him pretty early. I liked but like him and Laviska Shenault are kind of decently similar to me. They're athletic dudes, very athletic dudes. And I think there's going to be a tool. They got a lot of pieces, like weapons that can do. Are they super productive? Not in, like, obviously Thielen has been the most productive in his career. The rest, flashes for sure. And if they can get some consistency out of them, I really like all the names in that receiving core.
Yeah. And Hayden Hurst as well too. They added Hayden Hurst in the offseason too. So Ian Thomas, Tommy Tremble, and Hayden Hurst as your tight ends. It's not terrible.
It's not bad. And then they rounded out with Jamie Robinson. Sorry, I always do that. Out of Florida State, who I really like as well.
Yeah,
big hitter. And I was actually kind of surprised he felt well. No, I'm not. Round fives.
This safety class was not great. The safety class was not great, and I think that's probably right about where some people saw Jamie Robinson going. DJ Johnson as well, on going to the defensive side of the ball. DJ Johnson, the edge from Oregon, he's got tools from Oregon. Yeah. Okay. He's got tools. I don't think he's going to be an impact guy early, but there's potential there. He's a sneaky, powerful athlete. Just undisciplined. So if Evero and that defensive staff can get him going and get him caught up to speed and teach him, how to set the edge and how to have a better pass rush game, a better pass rush plan going into these games, I think he's going to be able to be a good rotational guy in that defense. I mean, they're stacked. Brian Burns and Gross Matos, and that's a scary defense, dude. And then you're just
Brown
people to it.
I forgot they got Deshaun Williams too. That's nice. I really like. They have a lot of good pieces.
Yeah. It's a very veteran. It's a very veteran defense. Like Xavier Woods, Von Bell, Dante Jackson, Shaq Thompson. Like
Jeremy Chin in the Ejiro Evero defense.
Nice. This defense, we know the defense is going to perform. Now it's on the offense.
Yep. All right, moving on along. Moving on up.
Moving on up.
We're on to the Atlanta Falcons.
Dirty Birds.
This one, do I have 2 on this one? I don't remember. No.
Dirty Birds.
All right. So, Atlanta Falcons, Bijan Robinson in the first, Matthew Bergeron, guard in round 2, Zach Harrison, edge, round 3, round 4, Clark Phillips, the third, round 7, DeMarco Helms, and then Jovan Gwynn in the 7th round. I mean, obviously the one stands out that is Bijan Robinson. What a like a room. Like, so they now have let's see, where is it? Bijan, Tyler Algier, Cordell Patterson, and Caleb Huntley. Like, they were also one of the top rushing offenses last year.
Yeah.
They're just going to add to it. And Matthew Bergeron, like, just solidifying the interior there. They have him listed as guard. I believe it. I can see it. I know a lot of people mocked him as a guard or projected him as a guard. And I can honestly see it. I don't think he still has decent enough length to be on the outside. And I think he performed well on the outside. So I think he's your versatile piece, in my opinion. Like, if you need him to go to the outside because of an injury, he could do it. I completely think that. They still have Jake Matthews and Caleb McGarry on the outsides, so they're okay. Chris Lindstrom came back. That offensive line is looking decent.
And they still have Matt Hennessy too, man. I think worst case scenario, something happens to Jake Matthews and they need Bergeron to work outside. That's fine, because you still have Hennessy there, or Hennessy starts and Bergeron is the backup and he's kind of their swing inside outside guy. Excuse me. Yep. But the big thing is Atlanta going to try and go get a quarterback? Are they going to trade for Lamar Jackson? Are they going to, trade for one of these guys in this draft class and replace Desmond Ridder? And they really said, no, we're going to build an offense, and we're going to address quarterback last. And honestly, I don't hate the way that they're doing this. Their offensive line is solid. Outside of, you got 1, 2, 3 first rounders on that offensive line. Top run game in the league. Algier was going crazy. They've already started talking about using Bijan as a wide receiver as well, utilizing his athleticism there, which just gives the offense the ability to say, okay, we can have Algier in the backfield, Robinson in the slot, Pitts in the slot, London outside. They got Scotty Miller. They got Mac Hollins. Like, they got they have good pieces starting on the offense, but the depth is what is kind of concerning to me. Good depth along the offensive line. So clearly they want to run the rock. I think I don't think we see Bijan take as many carries as people think he's going to take. I think they're going to line him up a lot all over the place and just make teams guess like what they're going to do. But I know a lot of people said, like, don't take a running back in the top 10. And it was a mistake for them to take Bijan route. Why would they do that? Your offense has to have dudes. If you have a quarterback who can just get the ball, control the ball, you're going to be fine. Okay. Then next year you go for the big chip. You go and try to get your quarterback in a much better quarterback class. Hate on the Falcons all you want for taking a running back at 8, but they took the best running back since Saquon Barkley, which is crazy because he wasn't even – they were talking about him going in the 20s. Could you imagine that draft class with Saquon and they said, oh, he's not going to go top 10. He's not even going to go top 19. He's going to go 21, 22. He'll be available down there. Absolutely not.
Yep.
So what's the difference between the Giants taking Saquon at 2? versus the Falcons doing it at 8. You know, so
no, I completely agree. I think that it's going to be very interesting because either the Falcons are really smart or they're really dumb. Because you're going into this next season, you are really betting on your 3rd round pick, Desmond Ritter, 3rd or 4th round pick, I can't remember. To lead your team, but you're really building around him, so you might be planning for the future, but you're also building a decent enough defensive roster where they're going to be pretty competitive in that division. So
they did add some quality defensive talent.
Yeah, they added quite a bit. And it's just like, I don't know. It just kind of feels a little half-assed to me. It's like commit to one or the other, I guess. Because if you're trying to go for Caleb Williams next year, you might be a little out of reach for that. But
that's the thing is they don't. It's not Caleb Williams or bust next year, and I know that a lot. I know that a lot of people want to see it that way, and like I get it because he's, transcendent talent. I'm not going to use generational, transcendent talent in next year's class. But next year's class is so much better than this year's class. If you don't get the first pick, so what? Who cares? You can still go after guys like Drake May. Quinn Ewers is going to be there. Like, we'll see how well he performs this year, but there's going to be quarterbacks. Michael Penix.
There it is.
Michael Penix.
There it is.
Can we talk about that? Like,
that's right.
There's Penix. I don't know how teams are going to feel about Bo Nix. Like, personally, I don't love Bo Nix.
I completely
you
agree.
Get what I'm saying. Like, it's not like they have to, this is a plan. When you're looking at it, this is a plan for 2 to 3 years down the road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're going to get our rookie quarterback next year, and he's going to be in a good situation because these guys have this offensive core is going to be playing together for a year or two. Rookie quarterback's going to have his rookie season, and then that's when we're going to hit our stride.
That's very interesting. What if the Atlanta Falcons traded for Trey Lance?
That feels like an Arthur Smith quarterback to me. You yourself
a big dude, big arm, and an RPO offense with a run game and a decent offensive line. They obviously need more help on the receiving end of things because I mean
next year's receiver class too. Next year's receivers class is loaded.
Yeah,
loaded.
Yeah. They're just kind of limping into like.
I know.
It's just kind of like, okay, so we'll go over the rest of them. Matthew Bergeron, obviously, a good addition to the offensive line. Zach Harrison, Clark Phillips.
Solid.
I think Zach Harrison's, giant human being.
Big man.
You can add him, throw him right into all those other guys you picked up this offseason. Bud Dupree, Calais Campbell, and David Onyemata. You can throw him in there.
And they're getting Eddie Goldman back too.
Hope he kind of grows. That's about it. I honestly like that pickup because you have such an insane amount of depth there.
And Lorenzo Carter.
Yep.
Arnold Ebiketie. Like D'Angelo Malone. Like they have dudes. This defense is deep. It's deep. It's much deeper than we think. And they got Jesse Bates. They still have AJ Terrell. Richie Grant's going into his second year.
Clark Phillips III will probably be Mike Hughes' replacement down the road.
Jeff Okuda. They traded for Jeff Okuda.
How old is Mike Hughes? He's 26.
Why do
I always feel like Mike Hughes is older than he is? You know what I mean?
Because it feels like he's been playing for a long time.
I know.
But like if you get Jeff Okuda back as well, and you get him back at full strength, playing alongside AJ Terrell, and then you have Mike Hughes, they have Trey Flowers as well, Clark Phillips III. This is a deep defense. This defense is still relatively young too. So good mix of vets, good mix of young talent. this Falcons team might be better than a lot of people think. If their offense can just sustain drives and put points on the board, the defense will handle everything else.
I mean, let's be honest. They might tiptoe into the playoffs just out of default because the division is trash. You know what I mean? I mean, they're going to tiptoe.
Biwana asked, was Chris Lindstrom overpaid this year? Did he get paid this year?
Yeah, he did. I don't think he deserves. I don't know. Top guard money is a lot.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Quentin Nelson.
Like 20 mil. That's
Quentin.
That's a lot. I don't know if I would overpaid. Sure. Yeah. I don't know if I would pay him number one guard money.
Sure.
But that's me. And
then the last two picks are just depth. Yeah. Those are depth guys. They might not even make the roster. No offense to them. Also,
show, we'll say you'll make the 53.
Also, let's talk about this as well. Sounds like the Lions were considering Gibbs at 6. So, I mean, those running backs were sought after. This is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
This is absolutely correct. And it really needs to be talked about more because you and I were talking about it leading up to the draft. Jahmyr Gibbs is very Alvin Kamara-ish. He's going to be sought after. He's got tools. He's got athleticism. He's going to be a little bit more than I do think that he's not going to be an every down back, but I do think that in a 2-back system, he's going to be a weapon. This is true. The Lions were considering Gibbs at 6, and multiple teams were. Yep. It's not just it wasn't just like some rumor. This was legit. And it just goes to show that a lot of the media influence that we see leading up to the draft, a lot of the experts and talking heads, like they want to push these certain narratives, like, oh, this running back class isn't. You and I have been talking about this running back class for months, saying like this is a deep class.
Mm-hmm.
We got a 2-headed monster at the top. Like, obviously, Bijan's in a class of his own, but Gibbs is no slouch.
Those, I think people underrate those all-purpose backs. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Gibbs is insane in the passing game. Obviously, like you're saying, I don't know if he's necessarily a 3-down back. We'll see. I mean, they have Montgomery there, who is not the biggest dude in the world either. He's not gonna. I don't think he's going to be your 3-down back, so they might think of Montgomery as your 3. I mean, they had DeAndre Swift as their 3. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I don't know, but anyways, like I said before, man, you love a guy, you go after him. Like if he fits, especially if he fits your offense, you go get your guy. Get your guy.
And to that other point as well is like, okay, the Falcons are going to use Bijan as a receiver, and everyone's like, oh, damn, that's so crazy. And then it's like, well, the Lions are doing the same thing with Gibbs, and they're like, what a dumb pick, stupid pick. Like, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah,
they can do the same thing. I also, while we're on this topic, I also love the clip of it's kind of relevant because we're talking about NFC South, the inside the draft room with the Buccaneers, and they were talking about their selection at 19. And who are the 2 guys that they were going after? It was Kalijah Kancey, who they ended up getting, and then Jack Campbell. And everyone was like, oh, Jack Campbell in the first round? Like, yeah, he's very talented. Just be like, I understand first-round linebacker. It's the same thing with first-round running backs. Go get your guy.
Yep. Go get your guy. And not all the coaches value positions the same, right? So,
no.
And especially with people, I mean, like us. I mean, we speculate
We're part of
a lot.
We're
we
part
speculate a ton, and that we speculate a lot. We're not in those draft rooms, but of course, you'll have certain coaches that are. Their defense depends a lot more on a prominent inside linebacker, like a prototypical,
like a Luke Kuechly.
Yeah.
Weird.
It is what it is. It is. Go get your guy. That's it. Go get your guy.
If you ask anybody who legit pays attention to NFL football, would you draft Luke Kuechly in the first round? You ask 10 people, 10 out of 10 of them are saying, absolutely, I would. That is a difference maker in your defense. It's the same thing with a great offensive player. Like, just because you don't want to take this person in the first round or at this draft slot or whatever, doesn't mean that another team is going to be like, well, this guy thinks this way, so I'm going to think this way too. No, that's why we see some of these head scratcher picks. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. When they do, it's because
Mikes are so underrated to me. Like, if you have you have your dude in the backfield calling your plays. That is like, I don't know how people underestimate that so much.
Yeah,
that, like, you have a dude that is supposed to adjust and tell you your defense what to do. You kind of want to make sure.
Quarterback is the most important position on the offense. Why? Because they call the plays. They change the plays, they change protection, they change so much. They're orchestrating the offense. Who does the same thing for the defense? Typically it's the Mike.
Whoever in the middle.
So are we going to sit here and say that Dan Campbell's wrong because he took a linebacker in the first round who some people thought wasn't a first round talent? No.
Nope.
Shut up.
Moving on.
Someone just knocked on my door.
Buccaneers. Go. You need to go first. I'll be right
here. Yes. I mean, so speaking of the Bucs, like,
this is not a two-part either. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. So, Buccaneers. Their first pick is at 19 with Elijah Ramsey. Love it. Cody Mock. Man, these first two picks. I like 3 picks too. Yaya Diaby out of Louisville. Servosia Dennis.
He's a linebacker too, by the way.
Yeah, I don't
know why they.
PFF, man.
Yeah,
I just copy and paste. I'm not gonna lie to you. Payne Durham.
Work smarter, not harder.
I like.
Yeah, we like Payne.
I like that tight end room now. Josh Hayes out of Kansas State. Trey Palmer out of Nebraska.
That huge pick for them.
Ramirez. Obviously, the ones that stand out to me, Kalijah Cansey in that front. Kalijah Cansey and Vita Vea.
Yeah, that's you want to talk about football porn right there. That's right there. The power, the explosiveness of Cansey, the explosiveness of Vita Vea. I mean, that's going to be disgusting. And then you have Shaq Barrett on the outside still, and
Greg Gaines
in there too. My goodness, just good Lord. Oh, and Joe Tryon too. My gosh,
UW.
Basically, just rebuilding that UW defense.
Yep. And then also, I really like Payne Durham. Obviously Cody Mock, but I'll let you do the mock stuff. Payne Durham, awesome at the Senior Bowl. He kind of just stood up a bit. Big, sturdy dude, possession, receiving tight end, solid blocking tight end as well. He's not going to be super showy, like that's not his game. But I think it'll be solid depth behind the other UWian, Cade Otton.
Yeah. This team is going to be a weird year for the Bucs, and I think that Tampa Bay fans need to come to the realization that this is going to be an ugly season. This is going to be a season where our offense is not going to be good. Baker Mayfield's our quarterback. Kyle Trask is our backup. Rashad White, Chase Edmonds is our run game. Like, it's just not. And Sean Tucker's there, yes, but
the division is so bad.
Yeah, it is. It's awful. But I just.
Yeah, no.
This feels like a top 5 drafting team.
They don't have their quarterback, that's for sure. They don't.
No. And this is going to be, Quinn Ewers is going to look great in a Bucs uniform. Okay.
They love you, Dub. You know damn well it's going to be Michael Penix Jr.
Hey, Bo Nix is going to look great in a Tampa Bay uniform. Okay. It's not going to be Caleb Williams. I'm sorry. The defense is too good. The defense is going to keep them in games for sure. Also, fun fact, Larry Foote, Steelers legend Larry Foote, is their co-DC. Did not know that. That's awesome. This is just a year where, like, man, we might see Mike Evans get traded this year. I don't know. That's what it's feeling like. They really didn't. They weren't aggressive in their free agency strategy, and they got some pieces here and there, but they weren't very aggressive. Like, their wide receiver room is all but depleted. I mean, yeah, you still have Godwin, but his injury history, yikes. Mike Evans without Tom Brady, like, I don't know, man. Is Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans going to have as solid a connection as him and Brady, or even him and Winston? Like, I don't think so. I just don't think so.
Dude, I can't help but just make a stank face looking at their defensive line. Their defensive line. Kalijah Vita Vea, Greg Gaines, Joe Tryon, Yaya Diaby, Logan Hall.
Yeah.
Like,
they got the whole defense is still good. Like, their safety room was not great going into the draft. They got Ryan Neal, that kind of boosted it up a little bit more. But they bring back Jamel Dean. That was huge. Antoine Winfield Jr. He's still there. Carlton Davis has been pleasant. Devin White is yikes. And Levante David is still Levante David. Like, he's still very good. So that defense is going to keep them in games, but I just don't see this offense really producing much at all.
No, true.
Trey Palmer is going to be a fun, he's going to be a fun speed guy. We'll see like a bomb or two on Twitter, like, oh my gosh, Baker Mayfield, 60 yards to Trey Palmer. It's like, all right, we're not going to see this again for 6 weeks. So nothing too. This is a like, we're going to build our depth. We're going to build, through the draft. And then in 2, 3, 4 years, we'll be competitive. Cody Mock, though, hell of a pick.
Yeah.
That's great. Love him.
Yeah, you're still gonna have Luke Gadecki on as your right tackle.
Gross.
The interior,
Worse is switching over to left. Yeah,
the inside to the left, not bad. Matt Filer. But yeah, I love Cody Mack in that addition. Is Ryan Jensen going to stay there? I don't know how long he's going to actually be there. Who knows?
I think he's got a couple more years in him.
Who knows? He was about to bail when Brady, and then
it was.
Okay, so moving on to the final team, that is the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, yikes!
New Orleans Saints. You know what? Let's just go through it real quick. Let's go through it real quick. Round 1, Brian Bresee out of Clemson, Isaiah Foskey out of Notre Dame, Kendre Miller, and that's remember that one. Nick Saldivari, or Jake Hanner, okay, Jordan Howden, and A.T. Perry. I feel like you could have got this.
Criminal that A.T. Perry went in the 6th round.
That's pretty crazy to me. Obviously, the one that sticks out to me is Kendre Miller.
Thank you.
What's going to happen with Alvin Kamara? I don't even know. I actually don't even. What is their?
So they did get Jamal Williams.
They got Jamal Williams. That's not bad.
And Benjamin. Shout out. I love Kendre Miller to the Saints, dude. I love Kendre Miller to the Saints. That is a great pick for them. No pressure on him at all. He can just go out there and ball. I really, really love his game. Saints offensive line, much, much better than the Raiders offensive line for Derek Carr. Much better. Don't look at me like that. It's true.
No. Sorry. I'm looking at their roster and I really, after talking about the Falcons and Alex Lindstrom, they have an Alex Fieldstrom on their, as center. That's funny.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny.
Okay.
What are we doing? No, I mean, they've got 4 first-round picks on their offensive line, damn near 5. Eric McCoy was a second-round pick. But this is a great offensive line for Derek Carr. I feel like Derek Carr was underappreciated in Las Vegas because he was playing really well at times, but there were a lot of just bonehead mistakes that he made. It's going to be weird. This is going to be a weird year. They're either going to be like way better than we expected, or they're going to be really bad. Yep. Like I don't see it like in the middle anywhere. I see it as a drastic one or drastic the other.
Mm-hmm. I think the Nick Soliveri one is kind of weird to me. I think what might have happened is, I mean, he had it. I don't even think he had that great of a Senior Bowl. He had okay Senior Bowl. Nothing insanely, nothing.
The athletic profile,
really.
He was like the top RAS offensive tackle.
I don't know if you're gonna do that, then just go. Where was it? 4th round? Oh, you can't. Okay. Anyways, I think Mickey Loomis just like did a little Sean Payton hangover. Like Sean always told me to get off it, just load up on offensive linemen.
Just go get an offensive
I gotta
lineman.
I gotta go. I know I don't need any right now, but let's just for later.
Yeah.
Which I respect, I guess.
The one that's a head scratcher to me is the Jake Haener pick in the 4th round. That is the one to me that I'm like, why did we do this early? Like you could have switched. If you switched to A.T. Perry and Jake Haener,
dude,
I would have been like, okay, yeah.
The Jake Haener hype for Senior Bowl was insane. It was so dumb.
Okay, but here's the thing. I like Jake Haener. I like him. Do I like him? Do I like him in the 4th round? No. Last year, if you told me that Jake Haener would be a top quarterback in this year's class, I would have been like, oh yeah, sure. Like the hype was there. And then it just kind of like gradually fell off. I feel like the arm strength kind of died. I feel like he was just very urgent to get out of the pocket. And granted, there are times where he stays in, he makes a great throw, and it's like, holy shit, this QB1 again. But for the most part, it was just like that fall off was so big. There were a lot of people that were talking about him being QB1 for this draft.
Yep.
And it just disappeared. And a lot of people close to the draft were like, oh yeah, Jake Haener, 7th rounder UDFA. And they took him in the 4th.
I honestly should be praising Jake Haener because without him, I might not have Michael Penix because he backed out of coming with Kalen DeBoer from Fresno State too.
That's right.
So I should be thanking him, but I just don't get it. It doesn't make sense. Like you already have you got Derek Carr. You still technically have Jameis Winston. I'm not really like it's whatever for this season, right? You're not shooting. Why are you using a 4th round pick on a quarterback that's like, I don't know. You must have really liked him when you talked to him. You must have really liked this dude because I don't get it unless they just cut Jameis. I don't know if they cut. I don't.
No, he is still on the roster. I'm looking at this and I'm looking at their roster. Defense is solid. Like they are still a very solid group. Jordan Cameron, I think they were like the 9th. No, they ranked like their defense last year ranked like 9th all time in some category. I can't remember what it was. I think it was like stops or something like that. 9th all time. Last year's defense. That's insane. But Cameron Jordan's still there. They're talking about getting an extension done for him. That's big. They get Kalen Saunders in free agency. Obviously, Brian Bresee. That's if he can stay healthy, that's a nasty interior. Carl Granderson, Pete Werner, Demario Davis, Zach Bond. Solid front seven. Okay. The secondary is when it gets a little iffy. Paulson Adebo, he was very up and down. Alontae Taylor, Troy Pride, Tyrann Mathieu is still somehow kicking it. Still kicking it. They picked up Jonathan Abram, Marcus May, Marshawn Lattimore is going to return back to form. Isaac Yadam, shout out. Bradley Roby, shout out. Lonnie Johnson and Ugo Amadi. They have like a solid rotation on their defense. I feel like they could have, instead of picking Haener at 127, like there were still players that like Darius Rush was there. There were still other wide receivers on the board that you probably could have taken. Tight ends that we could have taken instead. Like, yes, they get A.T. Perry, and that's fantastic. But, like, there's so many holes.
They weren't planning on it there.
Yeah, no. And I love A.T. Perry. I think he is going to be a very technical receiver. He reminds me a little bit of I'm not even gonna do a comp. But I felt like he possibly could have been in the conversation as like a late second, early third round receiver pick.
Okay. The Foskey one is Foskey is interesting to me as well because in that system, don't get me wrong, he's
a bigger dude.
He's 265.
Yeah,
I just looked it up.
Which
he's
is
265, but Cameron Jordan is almost 290.
Yeah,
that is a big offense or a big defensive line, except for Foskey. And it's currently on their depth chart. He is listed behind Granderson. So
Keon White would have been the pick there.
Yeah,
Keon White would have been the pick there. That like, I feel like if they took Keon White, he wins.
8-8 would have been great too.
Yeah. Keon White went 6 picks after Foskey. Ojulari was the next pick off the board. And then, I mean, Luke Musgrave was on the board. Yeah, Luke Musgrave was on the board. That would have been a great add to their offense. Because we know that Derek Carr loves his tight ends. So, congratulations to him. You're going to be throwing to Jawan Johnson and Taysom Hill.
It's just a weird,
not Foster Moreau. Not Foster Moreau yet.
They have Rashid Shaheed as their over Traquan Smith. That's weird. And I'm confused.
Yeah.
Our lads has Chris Olave.
Yep.
And
Michael
A.T. Perry on the outside.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's right. Keep going.
I don't know about that.
No, that's correct.
I don't know about that. I don't like it.
What? Yes.
He's got the speed, man.
He played great outside. Stop this. Stop this right now. I'm going to stop this right now. Chris Olave also played really well outside, and nobody thought he was going to play well outside. I know. Everybody was like,
it's kind of like Jerry Jeudy, right? Jerry Jeudy he plays well on the outside, but would you want him in the slot? Like,
well, yeah, because they're not
pure domination. Chris Olave
press people in the slot.
In the slot is pure domination. You understand me?
Oh, I agree. But he played great outside.
Fine.
He played great outside. Should not be overlooked. I can't believe that. I can't believe that the Saints really went with Isaiah Foskey over like adding someone like Luke Musgrave.
Yeah,
or
I get it.
I mean, fuck, dude. Like there were so many offensive weapons there. Luke Schoonmaker, like Brenton Strange, three tight ends that you could have just plug and played into your offense, and you just we'll take Foskey.
I guess now Taysom Hill is their official tight end 2.
Yep. Yeah. Until Foster Moreau, like when Foster Moreau comes back, I'm sure he'll be tight end 1. Juwan Johnson has made himself into a good receiving tight end in the NFL. Sco Ducks. But yeah, I think that there was just so many different directions that they could have gone with that pick. And it just like Foskey, the Saldivari pick, and then the Hainer pick, all three of those is like, you could have had something else. Like you went to the Ferrari dealership and you came back with a Toyota. Like that's what that feels like to me. I think that they'll be in a decent position. Like they still got dudes, and Derek Carr is still a veteran quarterback who can produce in this league, but you got to look further. You got to look further than just this year.
Yeah. No, I agree. Who do you think in the NFC South? Who would you give who had the best draft?
Okay.
I was saying, but my words.
I'll go through my grades.
Okay.
I'll go through my grades. Let's go back to Carolina. Okay. This class gets a
B minus.
I'd say B minus to B. So you get your quarterback. You gave up a lot to get him. That's where the grade comes down just a little bit. You get your quarterback. You got a good wide receiver to go with that quarterback. All right, that's great. And then you got some defensive depth, and then you got offensive line depth and good offensive line depth. I give this a B minus.
I agree. I say I agree a lot.
Yeah. Let's have some original thoughts.
All right, sorry. So sorry.
Okay, the Falcons. I also give this a B minus, and this is why. It's you get an all-time talent at running back in Bijan Robinson. I don't care what anybody says. That's a good pick. You get solid offensive line depth, someone that you can kind of keep molding potentially into a future starting tackle offense, tackle guard. Great. Add more depth on the defensive side. You get a pretty solid slot cornerback. And then the last two picks, whatever. I give this a B minus. I think that this is not a terrible draft by the Falcons. I think that they did a good job of building where they felt they needed to build. I think maybe Bergeron, I would have liked to maybe see them go wide receiver instead of offensive line there. Because he was 38. Yeah, like Mingo was still on the board. Mingo was literally the next pick after Bergeron. And then Jaden Reed also went in the same round. Rashee Rice also went in the same round. Marvin Mims Jr. went in the same round. So I feel like you could have built the wide receiver room a little bit better. Like if you're planning to get a quarterback in the next year or two, yes. But I also see their left tackle is old. He's getting up there. Bergeron could potentially just bump out next year. Like so I get it. But I think that you still could have gone in a different direction. So B minus for me.
I think I gotta go C.
Okay.
I don't. One, you're not getting the quarterback. Two, you are.
Yeah.
Zach Harrison just feels like a luxury pick to me. You didn't need it. Like you're saying, you could have
Yeah.
gone wide receiver there. You had quite a few options available that were like solid.
Josh Downs.
Solid.
Josh Downs.
Yep.
London, Pitts, and Downs.
Which would have been
And
great.
Dan Robinson.
Yeah,
Bro.
the Zach Harrison one, I don't get. And Clark Phillips Jr. It's fine. That's your future slot corner, whatever. And then the rest are just whatever. But yeah, I gotta go see with that one. It's not nothing really pops off besides Bijan Robinson, who I think is going to be an absolute weapon. But you're essentially building for the future, right? You're building for whatever comes next, even though they're, Desmond Ridder. We'll find out.
Don't want to hurt his feelings. Let's not hurt his feelings. This class right here. The first three picks give me B+ vibes. The next two picks,
they sneak a couple, right?
Yeah, like I don't know, man. I feel like this is also B- vibes. Like it's C+, B- vibes. Like it didn't really like. I wish they would have addressed secondary. I wish you would have addressed secondary a little bit sooner. Did you need Yaya Diaby? No. Let's see. 82. Okay. Riley Moss was on the board. Jair Brown was on the board. Jordan Battle was still on the board. Like Mekhi Blackman was still on the board. There were some guys in the secondary that were still available there that you really could have gone at. Keely Ringo was still on the board.
Oh yeah.
Keely Ringo was still on the board when they took Diaby. I don't know. This is tough. I like the Trey Palmer pick. I like the Payne Durham pick. I don't mind the Dennis pick. I just, again, like, let's focus on the secondary. So I'm gonna give this. I'm 3 in a row. B-.
Okay, I'm gonna give this a C.
Wow. Okay.
First two,
I'd C+ then. I'll change it to C+.
First two, yeah. Then after that, it's kind of like, meh. Don't get me wrong. I love Payne Durham. I like Payne Durham, but meh. And then the rest, meh. Trey Palmer is a decent steal, but outside of the first two picks, nothing screams at me. Yeah, Diaby had a up and comer during the Senior Bowl, and I get it. I just
JL Skinner was on the board.
Round 3 is a little rich for me.
JL Skinner was on the board. Travius Hodges Tomlinson was still on the board.
Yep. Yep, I get it. And then yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This is C-, D+.
C-, yeah. I agree.
C-, D+. I like the Brissy pick. I like Kendre Miller, but outside and A.T. Perry, but outside of that is like, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
They're all very, I don't want to say all depth picks, but nothing's
moving the needle there.
Nothing's moving the needle.
It's just very limp. Very, very limp.
All right, everybody. On that limp note.
Oh my gosh.
We're on to next week, where we will talk about AFC West.
Who's going to be our guest?
And we have a special guest who is supposed to be here. His name is Matario.
Well, I'm sorry. What is his name?
You ever have like dyslexia?
A stroke?
Mario is going to be joining us next week. Same
Mario
time.
Say his name.
I said Mario Vitanzi the right way the second time. Mario Vatanzi is going to be here next week. Okay, we're going to talk AFC West. We're going to have a great old time. There's going to be, if you have headphones, turn them down because there's going to be a lot of
volume way down.
Tell you right now. All right, everybody. You have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you later.
We'll see you next week.